Tonight, a long-awaited inquiry begins.
And when that bond amount was lowered, it wasn't lowered specifically for Caspian.
What the first witness had to say on the first day of a probe into the city's police headquarters construction. Also tonight, what a youth who was with Aisha Hudson says he remembers from the day she was fatally shot by a Winnipeg police officer. Plus,
it sucks because I have 3 binders that I need to carry, and I just can't carry all of them at once.
How students from one Winnipeg high school are pushing back after being told to keep their bags inside their lockers.
CTV News. Live from downtown Winnipeg with Marilee Caruso.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. A long-awaited inquiry into the purchase and construction of the Winnipeg Police Headquarters project got underway today. The inquiry is examining the dealings of previous city officials, including former Mayor Sam Cates and former city CAO Phil Sheagle. This after cost overruns and a civil court judge who ruled in 2022 Sheagle took a bribe. CTV's Jeff Keel joins us now live to break it all down. So, Jeff, what was the big takeaway today?
The city's manager of purchasing was the first witness. She testified about changes that were made during the bid process for the project, the risks the city faced as a result of those changes, and that this was not something she'd seen done then or since. Day one of the Winnipeg Police Headquarters project inquiry heard about risky bid contract changes prior to construction that were not business as usual.
Good morning, everyone. I now call this public inquiry to order.
The $135 million project to buy and renovate the former Canada Post building ended up costing $214 million. Decade-old court documents filed by RCMP allege the city was the victim of a multi-million-dollar fraud. The first witness at the inquiry was Barb Davignon, the city's 36-year manager of purchasing. She was asked about an amendment in early 2011 that reduced a performance bond from $40 million to $25 million for the $80 million construction bid on the project.
In your 35 years working with the city, have you ever seen a bond that's $25 million for what's proposed to be an $80 million contract? Is that usual, unusual, common, seen it before, never seen it again?
Never seen it before, and I've never seen it again.
These bonds are like collateral required by the city to ensure a project is completed. If not, they can cash it in. Davignon wrote a risk assessment back then, stating $25 million was considered too low to cover off in case of serious default in the work. A civil court judge concluded in 2022 that former city CAO Phil Sheagle accepted a $327,000 bribe from Caspian Construction, the project's general contractor. Caspian's lawyer, George Orrell, pointed out to Davignon she told RCMP Sheagle's intent was to lower the bond to get smaller companies into the bid process.
It wasn't lowered specifically for Caspian. That was part of the proposal. Anyone who wanted to take advantage of that lower amount could do that.
Correct.
And a reminder, this is not a civil or criminal trial. The purpose is to gather information about what happened back then. The inquiry is scheduled for 48 days with 33 witnesses.
So, Jeff, what happens next then this week?
Tomorrow, a representative from PCL Construction is scheduled to testify and an expert witness, and then all eyes will be on the witness that comes after that. As early as Thursday, former Mayor Sam Cates is scheduled to testify before the inquiry.
All right, thanks for this, Jeff. The city of Winnipeg is proposing to crack down on nuisance demonstrations.
What this is about us as a city making sure that we respect people's right to protest and to rally, but at the same time, we have to make sure that the spaces, that people frequent on a regular basis are also protected.
The proposed safe access to vulnerable infrastructure bylaw sets limits on how close protests can be held to buildings like places of worship, schools, and daycares. It also sets fines for breaking the rules, including intimidation of people accessing these places. The fines start at $500 for the first offense and escalate to $5,000.
There's a way for all of us, I think, to kind of coexist, allowing people to maintain their right to rally and to protest. But at the same time, I think it's very reasonable that You shouldn't be subjected to anything that people may feel would be intimidating when they're trying to access the place that they're going to.
The city says the Executive Policy Committee will recommend the bylaw at its February 17th meeting before sending it to Council February 26th. An inquest into the death of 16-year-old Aisha Hudson has heard from one of the youths who was in the vehicle with her when she was fatally shot by police. Standing by with those details tonight is CTV's John Hendricks. So, John, what did this youth have to say?
Marilee, he told the inquest the whole incident was a blur, and he didn't even realize at the time that she had been harmed. He was under 18 at the time and cannot be identified. But he said that he was under the influence of drugs and alcohol at the time and couldn't remember many details. The teen told the inquest Hudson panicked when she realized police officers were following the Jeep after a liquor store robbery. He says he remembers crashing into a parked truck and waking up at the police station later, where his lawyer told him Hudson had died. The inquest has heard Hudson was driving the vehicle and that some people she was with went into a store, took bottles and cases of liquor, and threatened to stab a security guard. The inquest is examining whether the use of force was appropriate and if systemic racism played a role because the robbery suspects were identified as Indigenous.
So, John, who else have we heard from so far?
Marilee, the inquest is now into week 2. It's previously heard from several officers who were involved in the case in shooting. One police constable testified he fired 2 shots at Hudson because he believed fellow officers could have been hit by the moving Jeep. Now, inquests don't assign blame, but the judge can issue recommendations to prevent similar deaths.
All right, thanks for this, John. A backpack policy change is proving controversial inside one Winnipeg high school. Students at Sturgeon Heights Collegiate are being told to leave their backpacks in their lockers to prevent tripping hazards in classrooms. But some students are pushing back against the backpack ban. CTV's Danton Unger explains.
The backpack. It's a quintessential part of the high school experience, unless you're a student at Sturgeon Heights Collegiate.
It sucks because I have 3 binders that I need to carry, and I just can't carry all of them at once.
Earlier this week, students say they were told they're no longer allowed to bring backpacks with them to class due to safety concerns.
The principal said the reason was a safety hazard because of having them, the straps sticking out from underneath our desk or something, so it could trip somebody.
But that isn't sitting well with these students.
It's unreasonable, and there's no problems with the backpacks in the classrooms in the first place.
I don't think it's smart.
I wasn't really happy about it because I like to carry my personal items around with me.
The frustration led some to launch this petition online, gaining more than 400 signatures so far, with some students writing out their disdain for the so-called backpack ban in typical teenage fashion. "This is bunk," one student wrote, while another says, "This rule is so buns." That means bad, by the way. In a statement to CTV News, the school's principal, George Valentim, says the change is a return to a pre-pandemic practice. In the COVID days, students weren't assigned lockers and instead had to carry their belongings with them to class. Now, staff are encouraging them to leave their jackets and backpacks in their lockers. While we appreciate student concerns regarding locker use, our efforts are geared towards creating a safe, organized, and distraction-free learning environment. Valentim adds that purses, fanny packs, and other compact bags used to store essential belongings are allowed, as long as they don't clutter or block walkways.
To be honest, I've gotten used to just carrying one binder around.
Danton Unger, CTV News, Winnipeg.
Colleen Brady joins me now with the first look at your Skywatch forecast. And as much as I want to use that new word I just learned, buns, I can't really say your forecast is buns. It's pretty good, actually.
Or bunk either. Yeah, it is pretty good. If you like mild temperatures, well above normal for this time of year, yeah, it's not bunk. Tonight will be maybe a little closer to that, but easily it will be the coldest night of the week. Having said that, still a little above normal here in the south. More normal temperatures overnight across much of the north. And then the rest of the week, my goodness, lots of sunshine and some pretty nice temperatures along the way. The CTV Live Eye is brought to you by Bathfitter, exclusive home of the PermaFit solution. In Winnipeg right now, it is minus 11 degrees with the winds. They've eased up considerably coming from the west-northwest. It still feels like minus 11 with the wind chill. The pressure's rising and the humidity right now, Marilee, is 83%.
Thanks, Colleen. A Manitoba police station in northern Manitoba has come under fire. Early this morning, it was the target of a drive-by shooting. It happened at the Fisher River detachment of the Manitoba First Nations Police Service. Police say an ATV pulled up to the detachment and people fired numerous shots at the building. Both the building and police vehicles parked on site were hit. 2 officers who were inside at the time of the shooting were unharmed. Investigators believe the police detachment was targeted and there's no threat to the larger community. Anyone with information is asked to contact police. The former president of the University of Winnipeg is suing the post-secondary institution over his termination. Todd Mondor was appointed president and vice chancellor in 2022. He held the posts until he was fired following a meeting last November. Mondor filed a statement of claim in the Court of King's Bench on January 30th. He alleges the university terminated his employment agreement in a, quote, manner that was misleading, callous, humiliating, and in breach of its duty of good faith. Now, at the time, the university's board chair said the decision to remove Mondor was reached after careful consideration and extensive deliberation. The university has not filed a statement of defense, and a university spokesperson says it will not be providing any comment as this matter is before the courts. None of the allegations have been tested in court. You can read more about this lawsuit on our website. Just go to ctvnewswinnipeg.ca. Well, the province is adjusting its timeline for adding sprinklers to all Manitoba healthcare facilities more than a month after missing its self-imposed deadline. The legislation requiring sprinklers in all of the province's 194 facilities was established in 2015 and had a targeted completion date of January 1st, 2026. However, the province says the previous government pushed back the expected completion date without updating regulations, which is what it's doing now. Presently, it says 117 facilities, which include personal care homes and hospitals, have full sprinkler coverage. 41 are expected to be compliant by the end of the current fiscal year, and the remainder will be completed by the end of 2028. The province says the work is complicated by the fact many of the buildings are older and must remain fully operational during construction. Manitoba RCMP and officials at Stony Mountain Institution have foiled a plot to smuggle more than $500,000 worth of drugs into the prison. RCMP say around 1 in the morning Sunday, a drone dropped off a package suspected to be drugs. Officers were nearby and spotted a vehicle. It was pulled over, and the officers later found a drone at the feet of the male passenger. Officers seized a quantity of meth, cocaine, tobacco, and cannabis concentrate believed to be worth $600,000 inside the prison. A 28-year-old Calgary man is charged with 2 counts of possession for the purpose of trafficking. 24 community centers are receiving money from the city for renovations.
The goal is simple: to ensure that these centers remain accessible, safe, and ready to serve their community.
The city-owned board-run community centers are being given grants totaling more than $1.8 million from the City of Winnipeg's Community Center Renovation Grant Program. The money will be used for facility repairs, upgrades, retrofits, safety improvements, and renovations. It will see improvements made to the rinks, lighting, and skate room at Tyndall Park, Winnequa, Fort Garry, and Burkevale community centers, as well as security upgrades to Norquay's Recreation Committee.
These are practical investments with real impact. They help ensure that community centers continue to bring people together today and for the years to come.
Winnipeg has 63 city-owned community centers in 81 locations and 130 outdoor rinks. The city has invested $20.3 million in community center renovations through the program since 2012. 4 nonprofits will receive help from Manitoba's tech sector to amplify their impact.
The question I often hear is, what technology is right for me and my team?
That's the question Tech Manitoba hopes to answer with its new pilot project. It will pair Tech Manitoba members with nonprofit groups in Winnipeg, northern Manitoba, and rural southern communities to help them implement digital solutions to improve efficiency, expand their reach, and strengthen community programs. The pilot is being launched ahead of Manitoba Tech Week.
Every organization has adopted technology over the last 20+ years, and now we have this new wave of emerging technologies such as artificial intelligence, and we want people to be curious about what's out there, who's doing well with what, and to learn a little bit about, is this relevant for me?
Tech Week will feature 52 events in Winnipeg and other parts of Manitoba from February 22nd to the 28th. It's open to everyone. The growth of Manitoba's film industry has sparked a new partnership aimed at further developing film professionals in our province.
The idea is that we're going to use the Film Training Manitoba location to hold various programs, including our first one this coming weekend with very prominent cinematographer Iris Ning.
Film Training Manitoba is joining forces with the Canadian Society for Cinematographers. The two organizations are launching a CSC hub right here in Winnipeg. They plan to host skill-building workshops and other events for people working in film and television in hopes of attracting even more productions to Manitoba.
I think that this puts us in a position where we're going to be able to accelerate the development of our local crew members, our cinematographers, and this level of support, investment, sharing business intel is going to put us in an excellent position so we can work more collaboratively with our national partner.
Film Training Manitoba says this will be the CSC's first hub on the prairies. It has other centers in Toronto, Montreal, and Vancouver. Coming up, trying to mend fences, or in this case, bridges.
Canadian steel, Canadian workers, but also U.S. steel, U.S. workers.
Reaction pours in as U.S. President Donald Trump threatens to block the opening of a key bridge between our two countries. Plus, WestJet slashes direct flights between Winnipeg and some American destinations. We'll explain where and why when we return. It was a mixed day on the markets. Today, crude oil lost 40 cents. The loonie rose to 73.83 cents U.S. Gold futures fell over $48. The TSX added 233 points. The Dow Jones was up 52 points, while the Nasdaq dropped 136 points. Well, if you were planning to fly to Atlanta or Nashville directly from Winnipeg, you'll soon be out of luck. WestJet is suspending services to the two Sunbelt destinations. A spokesperson for the airline tells CTV the move is due to a notable decline in transporter travel demand last year. It also notes there's been a 15% reduction in historically peak travel times to the U.S. Meantime, WestJet will also seasonally suspend flights from Winnipeg to Orlando. CTV News has inquired when that service will officially come to an end, but we have not yet received a response. It will be sorted out. That was what Mark Carney had to say after an early morning phone call with U.S. President. Donald Trump is threatening to block the opening of a major trade corridor between Windsor and Detroit unless the U.S. is fully compensated. The bridge is publicly owned by Canada and the state of Michigan. CTV's Mike LeCouture reports.
Of course, paid for the construction of the bridge over $4 billion.
Prime Minister Carney said he laid out that fact to President Trump in an early morning call that he described as positive. He also cleared up Trump's misconception about the construction of the span.
Obviously, there's Canadian steel, Canadian workers, but also U.S. steel, U.S. workers that are involved. This is a great example of cooperation between our countries.
Ownership of the bridge is clearly spelled out according to the 2017 agreement. The crossing will be publicly owned jointly by Canada and Michigan. Yet Trump's officials insist there are issues.
There's a question as to the proceeds of tolls, et cetera, and so there's going to be a negotiation on that front into how that bridge should be treated. If it's going to be going into the U.S.
According to the agreement, Canada will collect tolls until it recoups the costs related to construction. After that, they're split between Canada and Michigan. One former ambassador says there's a reason the president gets things so wrong.
You've got a bunch of crackpot advisors in the White House who misinform the president, who already likes to have tantrums and lash out and try to get leverage or extort things.
In Trump's online tirade, he also took aim at the Ontario ban on American alcohol, which the premier says won't change.
It's obviously working. It's an irritant. But there's one thing President Trump can do: get rid of Canadian tariffs.
Now, it's unclear if tariffs were discussed on the call, but Prime Minister Carney did say the president asked his ambassador to Canada and Michigan native Pete Hoekstra to continue the conversation and bridge the apparent gap. Mike Lecouteur, CTV News, Ottawa.
The housing market in Canada is being dragged down by economic uncertainty, and the proof is in a new report by the Canadian Mortgage and Housing Corporation. It forecasts higher building costs, fewer new homes built, and more existing units left unsold. CTV's Heather Wright has the details.
The headwinds facing Canada's economy are being felt by Canada's housing industry as well.
The general climate environment of uncertainty that has been brought about by the trade tensions and the uncertainty going forward has definitely impacted housing investment.
According to the Housing Market Outlook released today by the Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation, new home construction is set to decline through 2028 as developers face high costs, weaker demand, and more unsold homes. Condo construction is expected to be especially weak. The CMHC report also underscores the impact elevated unemployment, modest income growth, and slowing population growth are having on the housing market.
Several factors that are spelling out a slower market for the next several years.
While new condo construction is expected to remain high in Montreal, the CMHC predicts a dismal condo market in both Vancouver and Toronto, where inventory is high and sales are weak.
A seller of a new build, you're looking at a full deposit forfeit.
Daniel Zadigan is a realtor who says sellers are losing deposits and then some when trying to sell condos they bought pre-construction 4 or 5 years ago, when prices were high and interest rates were low. But he says the oversupply won't last forever, and the lack of starts will create new problems down the road.
Long term, however, the lack of housing starts is at one point going to show its impact, maybe in a few years, because I know starting next year, I think the housing starts, completions, are going to really start to dramatically taper off.
CMHC has warned that Canada needs an additional 3.5 million homes to restore affordability by 2030, a goal becoming increasingly difficult to attain. Heather Wright, CTV News, Toronto.
Closer to home, that report suggests the resale market in Winnipeg will remain elevated in 2026, driven by population growth and improved borrowing capacity. It says sales will moderate afterwards as pent-up demand decreases. It also expects the rental market to soften as vacancies rise and rent growth slows. Reduced immigration through 2027 is expected to continue to push rental demand downwards. On Parliament Hill, the Conservatives introduced a motion today to bar non-citizens convicted of serious crimes from making refugee claims. It also calls on the government to prevent asylum claims from people whose cases are still working their way through the courts. The motion is related to a dramatic increase in extortion-related crimes. The Tories say more than a dozen suspects facing deportation claimed refugee status and insist efforts to expel extortionists have fallen through a loophole. The Liberals point to what they call tough laws already in place, as well as proposed changes to bail and sentencing laws. The FBI has released surveillance video and images of an armed person at Nancy Guthrie's home the night she disappeared. The previously inaccessible images show a person on the porch of the Tucson area house the morning the mother of NBC Today Show host Savannah Guthrie was kidnapped. That was 10 days ago. The person can be seen wearing a face mask, gloves, a backpack, and what's thought to be a gun holster. It looks like the individual tried to block the front doorbell camera with foliage gathered nearby, but then appeared to damage it. At least 2 ransom notes were delivered initially to news media. The family has said it will pay and believes Nancy Guthrie is still alive. New fallout from the pages released by the Department of Justice on the investigation into convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Some in Congress are now calling for Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick to resign due to his ties to Epstein. And as Armando Garcia reports, there are questions about what the president may have known about Epstein's conduct.
A former Palm Beach, Florida police chief who investigated Jeffrey Epstein recalled Donald Trump calling police in 2006 to say, "Thank goodness you're stopping him. Everyone knows he's been doing this." The account, part of a 2019 FBI report on an interview with that police chief conducted months after Epstein's death, first reported by the Miami Herald. The FBI report also states Trump told Ryder that he was around Epstein once when teenagers were present, and Trump got the hell out of there. Trump was one of the very first people to call when people found out that they were investigating Epstein. The claim a sharp contrast to what the president told ABC's Rachel Scott.
You said that Jeffrey Epstein stole people from Mar-a-Lago. At the time, did you know why he was taking those young women, including Virginia, who was just 16 at the time?
I would figure it was ABC fake news that would ask that question, one of the worst. No, I don't know really why. But I said if he's taking anybody from Mar-a-Lago, he's hiring or whatever he's doing. I didn't like it, and we threw him out.
The president has repeatedly denied any knowledge of Epstein's crimes. The Justice Department says it has no record or other evidence to confirm that call happened, telling ABC News, "We're not aware of any corroborating evidence that the president contacted law enforcement 20 years ago." And on Capitol Hill on Monday,
I invoke my Fifth Amendment right to silence.
Convicted Epstein co-conspirator Ghislaine Maxwell pleading the Fifth during a virtual deposition in front of Congress.
My habeas petition is pending in the Southern District of New York. I therefore invoke my right to silence.
Maxwell's attorney telling lawmakers she's prepared to speak fully and honestly if granted clemency by President Trump. And some lawmakers who have reviewed the Department of Justice files on Epstein are now demanding answers about the names of men they say should be revealed without redactions. Armando Garcia, ABC News, New York.
And still with the fallout from the Epstein files, UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer has avoided a leadership challenge related to his ties to it. Starmer is under fire for his decision to appoint Labour politician Peter Mandelson, a friend of Jeffrey Epstein, as the UK's ambassador to the US. Some members of his Labour Party questioned Starmer's judgment and called for his resignation. Starmer has apologized, saying Mandelson lied about the extent of his ties to the convicted sex offender. Some remarkable scenes out of Georgia tonight, where a small plane made an emergency landing on a busy street yesterday. 2 pilots and a student were on board, and just moments before, one of the pilots sent a final message to his family.
We're not going to make it. Please tell my wife, Molly, I love her, and my parents. I love them so much.
It turns out, though, it was not a final goodbye, as both of those pilots walked away unharmed. 2 other people suffered only minor injuries. This dramatic video shows the small plane streaking towards the road, roughly touching down and slamming into vehicles before coming to a stop. The aircraft took off nearby and was trying to turn back when there was engine trouble. The cause of the incident is being investigated.
So it kind of feels special just coming back here and just getting ourselves on the podium.
Another day, another medal for Team Canada, but not everything has gone according to plan at the Winter Olympics in Italy. We will explain when we return.
So to give you some idea of just how mild the next several days will be for Winnipeg, the normal high for this time of year is around -9. That's closer to the overnight lows through the long-range forecast period, and even a little bit milder than that for the most part. Mix of sun and cloud on Thursday and Friday, 0 Thursday, +1 on Friday. Saturday is Valentine's Day. I should mention too first, Friday, the start of Festival de Voyageur. Hopefully this won't affect the snow sculptures too much. Those mild temperatures will continue right through the weekend, as well as that sunshine and into next week. A mix of highs and lows for Team Canada on what is officially day 4 of the Olympic schedule. Canadian athletes added to our nation's medal count. CTV's Scott Hurst reports.
Down and out. Captain of the Canadian women's hockey team, Marie-Philippe Poulin, did not play against the Americans on Tuesday. She's listed as day-to-day with a lower body injury after taking a hit into the boards during Canada's win over Czechia Monday night.
Losing her is obviously a big one because the United States have been the better team internationally over the last couple of years.
And the United States proved to be too strong on this day, beating Canada to remain undefeated in the preliminary round of the women's hockey tournament. Staying on the ice, Canada is back on the podium, this time in short track speed skating, a silver medal in the mixed relay event.
So close to the podium in Beijing, so it kind of feels special just coming back here and just getting ourselves on the podium.
A shared moment of joy for Kim Boutin, Courtney Sarreau, William Dangenou, and Felix Roussel Florence Brunel and Stephen Dubois also getting medals for skating in the earlier rounds. Figure skater Steven Gogolev with a strong performance in the men's singles short program with a score of 87.41, setting himself up for the free skate on Friday. So far, so good for opening ceremony flag bearer Mikhail Kingsbury, third in moguls qualification, just behind his teammate, Quebec City's Julien Viel. Both are moving on to the finals. And making its Olympic debut, women's alpine team combined. One skier tackling the downhill speed event, the other racing the more technical slalom course. Canadians Valérie Grenier and Laurence Saint-Germain finishing 13th. So the medal count now stands at 3, 1 silver and 2 bronze, with more athletes in the mix for medals tomorrow, including in the ice dance final. 3 Canadian pairs, led by Piper Giles and Paul Poirier, third heading into the final event. Scott Hurst, CTV News, Toronto.
CTV Skywatch weather brought to you by South Beach Casino and Resort. Visit southbeachcasino.ca.
All right, before we get to weather, I have to give a big hello and shout out to the grades 4, 5, and 6 students at Ecole Victoria Albert School, which is the home of the Dragons. I was there reading today for I Love to Read Month. A great group of kids, got them to test their skills at reading the news too, and they were pretty impressive. So big hello to them tonight. Thanks for having me. I had a great time reading with them today. We are out and about at all kinds of schools this month. February is a great month to get a good book and sit down and read.
Yeah, it's always lots of fun to get out and visit with all the students, and we'll be out at more schools in the weeks to come. So we'll be looking forward to showing more of those photos and welcoming our new friends who are providing some good backfill. We've been getting them to read those scripts, and they're doing a pretty good job. The weekend, well, that's still a few days off. Where am I at? Then the week ahead, it'll be quite mild, as I showed you those very nice temperatures. Once we get past tonight, easily the coldest night of the week, the rest of the week will be considerably milder. Even tonight, though, having said that, overnight lows will still be a little bit above normal for this time of year. With that said, you can see we're starting to see some clearing, pockets of clouds still. Winds will be reasonably light tonight all across the province, also next door into northwestern Ontario. Now, it looks like the light snow that had been falling in Kenora has come to an end. It's still in the forecast, though, for tonight. Dryden, you can see it's picking up a little bit on the radar. That will continue this evening. That's courtesy of a low that moved out of Manitoba well into northern Ontario. So still a little bit of snow coming down on our side of the border around Gillam and Island Lake. That is going to end fairly early if it hasn't already. This evening it will end as we get closer to midnight. It should be out of the way. Cloudy behind there. Meanwhile, we'll be clearing out for most of the rest of the province, including down here in the south. But watch out if you're in the southwest. There is the potential you can see here for some freezing rain potentially to pick up here. That's what that pink would indicate. Also, there is the outside chance of some fog too around the Winnipeg area, so that's something just to be aware of. Otherwise, we'll see sunshine as we get further and further into the day across the south. A little bit of cloudiness across the north as we make our way into early Wednesday evening. Overnight we go into Thursday. Cloudy skies stick around the south. We're quite clear, particularly on the western side of the south, but as we get into Thursday during the day, we'll see a resumption of that sunshine here in Winnipeg. For tonight for Winnipeg, partly cloudy down to minus 16 degrees. Light winds for the most of the night out of the southwest at 10 kilometers an hour. Light south winds for the commute tomorrow. Fog is possible, not certain, just possible. Otherwise, a mix of sun and cloud. Minus 13 on the way to a high of minus 3 degrees under that mix of sun and cloud. It could even be outright sunny by late in the afternoon. Winds out of the south at 20 kilometers an hour. Up into the northeast tonight, temperatures will rise in Churchill up to minus 21 by morning under a partly cloudy sky. Again, that light snow falling in Gillam and around Island Lake should end fairly early this evening, then cloudy down to minus 22 in Gillam. Thompson cloudy tonight, minus 21 there. Clouds stick around on Wednesday with a high of minus 8 degrees. Island Lake minus 9 tomorrow, mainly cloudy there. Speaking of clouds, they will hang over the northwest tonight. Overnight lows as well, minus 16 in OCN and the Pas, but as cold as -20 in Lynn Lake, up to -7 in Lynn Lake. Similar temperatures around the region, -4, -5 for the Flin Flon and the Pas areas. In the southwest tonight, partly cloudy, overnight lows, Brandon included, down to -12, -13. Mix of sun and cloud around the region. Highs up to 0 or -2 for Swan River. Winnipeg in the southeast, partly cloudy tonight, overnight lows in the mid-teens. Sunshine or a mix of sun and cloud tomorrow, with daytime highs between around -3, -1 for most of us. And that light snow tonight in northwestern Ontario, cloudy there with highs of -12 and -11 degrees. Our first weather photo takes a look at the beautiful sunset over the Interlake. That photo is from Donald. And this handsome fella coming up, well, his name is Stuart Stewart, and he's soaking up the sunshine in Stony Mountain. Send us your weather photos to Winnipeg Weather at ctv.ca. And by the way, Darlene took that photo of Stuart Stewart.
Well, they've seen a boom in popularity to help with weight management, but now one health monitoring agency is issuing a warning about a rare side effect of GLP-1 drugs. Those details next in Medical Watch. A growing number of Canadians are turning to AI for health advice, and that has doctors worried. The Canadian Medical Association warns in many cases artificial intelligence is giving us bad health advice. Joining me now to talk more about the results of a new survey is Dr. Margot Burnell, CMA President. Dr. Burnell, great to speak with you.
Speaking with you.
First, give us an idea of just how many Canadians are logging on and asking AI for health advice.
Many individuals across the country are logging on, especially when they do not have easy access to their family physician primary care provider.
And are they taking this advice as truth and following it to the T?
So it's very interesting. About a quarter say they don't trust AI, but when you look at whether they're looking at the platforms for either recommendations or treatment, about 50% are following that.
So how often then is AI getting it wrong, and what can be the outcome of following wrong or bad health advice?
The problem with following bad advice is that you don't obtain the correct diagnosis or the correct treatment, and therefore you postpone obtaining the appropriate care and the appropriate diagnosis.
You know, a lot of people today, I think, you know, maybe skeptical about AI, but think there's, you know, it's got some knowledge about what the advice is it's giving you. How often, or do we have any data that can give us an idea of how often it's getting the advice it's giving wrong?
Not sure that we have the full, complete data. In those situations, we would need to know that the patient had sought data from there, and then what the consequence was, and then bring it to their physician to have that discussion. But patients are reporting, self-reporting, that they're experiencing harm, and that's 5 times higher if they've used AI for advice than if they had not.
Okay, interesting. Given the struggle then, as you mentioned, many are facing, you know, just accessing health care or even finding a family doctor these days. Is there a solution if it's not AI?
Solution is to increase the number of physicians within the system to have team-based care. So to train more physicians, recruit more physicians, and retain more physicians. The other is that there is good information on the internet if you go to trusted sources, or you're directed to trusted sources, like the Canadian Public Health Agency, Health Canada, or specialty organizations, the College of Family Physicians or the Royal College of Physicians and Surgeons. Many of those subspecialty organizations have very good reference material.
Well, Dr. Burnell, I want to thank you for your advice and time tonight. It was great speaking with you.
Sure.
Has announced a recall of some blood pressure medication. It says 2 lots of meramlodipine 5 milligram tablets are being recalled, as some bottles may contain the wrong drug. It's usually used to treat high blood pressure and chest pain. Health Canada says the manufacturer inadvertently put medication to treat low blood pressure in some of the bottles. The correct tablets have 8 sides and are white to off-white in color and have the numbers 2, 10, and 5 printed on them. The United Kingdom's regulatory body for medicine and healthcare products has issued a warning over popular weight loss drugs for a rare risk of vision loss. It has to do with drugs using GLP-1s sold under Ozempic, Wegovy, and Ribelsus brands. They're usually prescribed to patients with type 2 diabetes or for weight management. The UK's regulatory agency says in rare cases, they can reduce blood flow to the front of the optic nerve, causing sudden, painless vision loss in one eye. The agency says studies suggest it could affect up to 1 in 10,000 people taking a semaglutide. A Canadian study says giving babies peanuts, eggs, fish, and other common food allergens early and consistently decreases the risks they'll be allergic to them. Researchers at Hamilton's McMaster University analyzed 190 food allergy studies from all around the world. Their findings, published in JAMA Pediatrics, found delaying the introduction of peanut-containing foods until babies were over 12 months old doubled their likelihood of becoming allergic to the nut. The study showed similar results for fish and eggs. It also found higher risks among babies with eczema, asthma, or a family history of allergies, underscoring the importance of early exposure for higher risk infants. Food Allergy Canada cautions peanuts are a choking hazard, but it suggests mixing peanut butter with hot water, cooling it, and then adding it to soft foods the baby is already eating.
Medical Watch is brought to you by Manuke and Koster Denture Clinic.
For my husband once, I said, honey, what do you think? He said, well, I think this is something Victoria should have kept a secret.
From the Las Vegas lights to the stage here in Winnipeg, comedian Rita Redner is making a stop in our city. We'll tell you all about it next in Spotlight.
Spotlight, sponsored by the Casinos of Winnipeg, presenting The Price is Right live.
A one-day festival taking over Blue Cross Park this summer will combine hip-hop with Southern grit for a modern country music experience.
The image of you leaving in my head and keep repeating, and now I'm slowly seeing.
Big X The Plug will headline the Country Rising Festival on Friday, August 21st. He'll be joined by Dylan Monroe and Red Farron. Country Rising blends performances with food, interactive games, a mechanical bull, and more. There's a lot going on. Tickets are available through the Country Rising Festival website. The frontman of a popular Canadian rock band, the Glorious Sons, is heading out on a solo tour, and John Shambles has his sights set on Winnipeg this coming spring. Shambles is actually the solo moniker for Brett Emmons. The Shambles-style music is a departure from his typical fare and sees him veer into the alternative rock scene. He's scheduled to play the Park Theatre and Cafe on May 12th. Well, she's been making people laugh for decades, and now she's bringing her signature brand of self-deprecating humor and witty commentary on womanhood to the stage in Winnipeg.
Oh yes, my husband and I, we got married here in a drive-through wedding chapel. Well, very quick, not very romantic, really, just screaming our vows in the clown's mouth.
Rita Rudner is scheduled to hit the stage at Burton Cummings Theatre May 29th. Rudner is perhaps best known for holding the longest-running solo comedy show in the history of Las Vegas. But she's also written several books and appeared in multiple HBO specials. Tickets go on sale Friday through Ticketmaster. A film festival promoting cool, clean, and compelling flicks is back for another year.
Come on, John, stay with me. Wake up! Coming through, coming through.
How bad is it?
He has burns to 100% of his body.
Soul on Fire is one of the nearly 50 movies screening at the 16th annual Reel-to-Reel Film Festival. The 6-day event is centered around faith-based features, documentaries, shorts, and animated flicks. This year's lineup also includes family favorites like Paddington in Peru and the Garfield movie. It's all happening February 17th to the 22nd at the North Kildonan Mennonite Brethren Church. Visit Winnipeg Film Festival for tickets and showtimes. Your primetime lineup comes tonight, starting at 7 with Will Trent. The Big Bang Theory is at 8. Next up, W5 Avery Haynes Investigates at 9. And Best Medicine wraps things up at 10. It's all right here tonight on CTV.
Women's clothing provided by RW & Company. Salon services provided by S&T Spa Salon.
Well, the normal high for this time of year, as I mentioned earlier, is -9. Today we did one better, -8, and considerably milder than this day 1 year ago, -17.1 then. Tonight, -8 is about the lowest we'll go. Partly cloudy, up to -3 on Wednesday, 0 Thursday, 1 on Friday, all under a mix of sun and cloud. Valentine's Day, Saturday, 1 degree, and those temperatures and sunshine continue into next week.
Thanks, Colleen. Well, when you think of Valentine's Day, you probably think of flowers, chocolate, and romantic dinners. But it seems many people have something else on their minds. Caviar and McNuggets. You heard me correctly. McDonald's is taking a foray into fine dining this year by offering a limited time combo. Chicken nuggets topped with a dab of caviar. Beginning this morning, lovebirds or experimental diners could visit McNuggetCaviar.com to claim a 1-ounce tin of Siberian sturgeon caviar and a $25 gift card to buy the nuggets. And it seems customers were ready to show the promo a lot of love because we're told it's sold out in minutes.
They were loving it, as the McDonald's
tagline
goes, something like that.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. I guess we won't know because it's sold out.
Yes,
there's always
true. Someone will have to fill us in.
Yeah.